Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and in this episode I'm tackling the Erikenstein Rod. This was one of those castings, kind of like the Bone Shaker for me. It was like a love-hate thing. I really wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. I've had it for a while, and then some people sent me some, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like it, but I kind of hate it. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So the best way to do it was to just take it apart and see what kind of inspiration I kind of delved into and hoped for the best. And if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified of all future videos. So I really, at this point, you can see me taking it apart. I'm not sure what I wanted to do with this. I mean, I had a very, very rough idea in my head. But for the most part, I wanted to take it apart, lay out all the pieces, and just kind of see what I had. And sometimes when I do that, something hits me. Usually it's my wife, but something strikes me, and it says, let's let's go in a direction at least. It's got the roll cage in the back, wide tires, skinny tires in the front. The exposed motor. I mean, the front half of this, at first I thought was really fugly, but the more I looked at it, I kind of dug the way it was laid out. It was the back half that I had a problem with, so just trying to see what it was going to become. And so, obviously I take the wheels out, I drill and tap the posts so that it's one of the steps I always forget to do till the end, and shame on me, but this time I actually remembered, and after doing this, it allows me to just toss it into the citrus strip, at some point and not have to worry about it. So I have a plethora of wheels, and nothing seemed to really jump out at me except for these Rogue Syndicate wheels. And I really, it's hard to see right now because they're black, but you'll see later on why they were, in my opinion, the right choice for this casting. So I put it in my citrus strip and let it simmer for a bit. So I'm going to paint everything black, essentially, for the chassis and the interior. But I want to keep the motor and the exhaust tips that stick out the fenders chrome. So I'm just going to tape those off, and then I'll use my Citadel Chaos Black to spray all that and get a nice base coat and something that's easy for me to work on. And it's a crapshoot. Sometimes I'll go primer gray and then paint everything. Sometimes I'll do black. Depends what the majority of it's going to be. In this case, the majority of it was going to be black, so black was the smarter choice. And obviously the base was black plastic, but I don't like that look, so I painted it the Chaos Black as well, which is like a satin finish. So you can use flat black, semi-flat black gloss, whatever you want. I end up clearing them after anyway. So, but the Chaos Black for me always seemed to be the best base because it's easy to paint on. So the paint didn't come off that well, even though I had it in there for a while. It took a little bit and some various crappy attachments that I have to get all the residue and that maroon paint out of all the cracks and crevices, especially with the roll cage. So it did come off. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it took probably 20 minutes. I don't know why. Some paints are just harder to take off than others. This just so happened to be one of them. Then there's two casting lines over by the front fender where it reaches into the windshield A-pillar. So I got a sanding stick that I'm using just to kind of knock it down a little bit and get rid of that. It seemed kind of bulky to me, so I don't always get rid of the casting lines, but in this case I happen to, just because of its location and how bad I thought that they were, or how bad I thought they would be once paint was on it. A lot of times paint will cover up some of the smaller ones, so a little bit of 5 minutes of work saved me a little bit of aggravation and works on the overall appearance. So things are starting to come to me at this point, and I'm going to polish the front half of this. And I'm using the polish there you can see in the back, and I'm just lightly spreading a little, or as little as I possibly can, onto the casting itself, so that way I can use my Dremel with my buffing wheel to bring this to as close to a decent finish, polished, that I can get. This is one of those things I start off really slow. I pretty much use the slow speed to kind of work it all in, and then I will pick up the speed once it's worked in, and then that's really when the polishing actually technically begins. And it's finding a happy medium of speed as far as how fast you're moving your your tool and how fast it's going to begin with. So this is kind of where I ended up with. I cleaned it, but then I'm going to clean it again with the Zep cleaner. And no matter how clean you think it is, it's still got residue on it. So don't skimp on this step. It's always important to clean as much as you possibly can, because you'd be amazed at where residue from the polish will actually sit and fester, and it'd be it's one of those things that's almost impossible to paint over. So make sure you do a good job and take your time. And again, this is all supposed to be fun anyways. You're supposed to be relaxing, so you shouldn't be rushing to begin with. I'm going to use this really thin Tamiya masking tape. It's not it's more of a rubbery type tape. It's good for pinstriping. It allows you to go around corners and so on and so forth, as opposed to more of the paper style tape. So I'm just using that to kind of separate the cab from the rest of this casting itself. And yeah, the more I did this, the more it kind of grew on me. Kind of grew on me more like maybe like a wart, but it grew, and it was one of those things that the more I handled it, and the more I kind of thought on what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, the more I kind of dug it. I actually already got some ideas for like a wasteland style build. And actually, it was funny. I was thinking about that, and then William Robinson, who's a friend of mine, and I've mentioned him before, he actually showed me a picture of one that he did, and it was like, damn, that's exactly how I would do it. So there's some cool ideas. There's a lot of possibilities with this casting. It's just one of those things. You either like it or love it, I guess. So I'm going to take some Spectraflame Red. This is from Bright Vision. And then some hardener and activator and reducer, all that kind of crap. Mix it up, and I'm going to use that to paint the front half of the cab. I kind of went back and forth. I was like blue, red, gold. I kind of went back and forth on colors. But for what I was kind of thinking for the back half of this, look like riveted panels on the back side, the tail end, and then in between a couple of the spots for the roll cage. I thought the red would be a nice contrast to what I envisioned. At this point I hadn't done it yet, so if you guys know me, not everything I visualize comes to fruition or looks well. And I've got this little thing I got from Blue Meanie TSI Customs. It's a wheel holder. So I put my Rogue Syndicate parts wheels on there, and I'm going to I want to paint these Spectraflame. I want them the same red that I do the cab. So I'm going to take the easy way out, and I could go with like a Createx black, then clear it, and then put the Quicksilver chrome on it. But I'm going to go with white primer, then I'm going to use the Tester's chrome, and then I'm going to put the Spectraflame over it. So you can kind of see what I'm after right here. And I think it makes those wheels pop. I really kind of dig it. So now there's a lot of detail to do on these interiors. So, the big thing is just starting. You got the two NOS tanks. You've got a radiator. You've got the rat in the pizza that's on the seat. So I paint all that and just kind of go to town on the details. I do a little bit at a time, and I do these at night, so I don't have a ton of time to work on it. So I just do it in steps, and I gave up rushing. It gets done when it gets done type of thing. So I do the velocity stacks gold, around the radiator gold. I paint the motor red. The pizza, I made pepperoni, in case anybody asks. It could be sausage, I guess, but I did make it pepperoni. And then I'm taking some Vallejo burnt sienna. This was kind of a risk on my part. This is what I envisioned, but I'm doing all those little panels. And it kind of gives it like a weathered look, but I'm going to clear it. So this may be one of those things you look at and you go, man, that sucks. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Or you might think it's a great idea. I don't know. But I kind of like the way it came out. It was a risk, and it worked out. But not all my risks come out in the positive way. But, excuse me. But it worked out really well. I put 2 coats on, and I thought the color really, I was lucky. It did contrast the way I did think it would contrast. So, and then I just got to paint the steps. I painted the front bumper and the intercooler. I dry brushed this lead belcher from Citadel Paints, which I try to use that name at least once in every video. I use the paint. Actually, I need to go to the hobby store and pick up some more because I use a ton of this stuff. It's just the right, to me, it just adds the right contrast, but to each their own. There's other paints out there as well. So I just like these style paints. It just works out well for me. So, I'm just doing all the details. It's one of those things, I spend more time on the details. I didn't do any massive mod custom work. I didn't have to grind out fender wells or anything like that. It was just more of a paint detail type of project. But it seemed like it was a lot more. There was just so many details on this that you just don't realize until you take it apart. And some of them you can see, some of them you can't. But, in the end, if you look close enough, you do see 90% of them. So, and this may be something I end up selling, or I don't know what I want to do. I never sell any of mine. I just throw them in a box. But, it was just one of those things. It was fun to do all the detail work on this because there was so many things, and it each time you did something, it made a big difference. So I do drill those little, after I paint this and clear it, I do a little bit of drilling on those front speed holes just to put them back to black. So I found it easier with a small drill bit than trying to go in there with a paintbrush and paint them black or paint around them at this stage. So, but this is kind of, after the clear coat, what I ended up with. And like I said, I cleared the interior, I cleared the base. I never do that. I never clear the interior, not with gloss anyways. But actually, that wasn't it. That was before the clear. But this is what I ended up using. Sorry, I apologize. This is after the clear, obviously now. So it was one of those things that actually really made it pop. And I'm glad I did it. Like I said, most of the time I'll matte clear the interiors or the chassis or both. So the gloss definitely made a huge difference, and it made a difference on the wheels for sure. It made them really, really, really pop. So all left at this point is to make some axles. So I'm going to use some brass rod from K&S because it's just easier, and I thought the brass would kind of pop for a center axle. And that's pretty much what I'm using, and it's real simple to do. So I've done it before in other videos. You put it in, size them up, crimp the ends, and you're done. Nothing, no rocket science there, but it fits perfectly, especially with these Rogue Syndicate wheels. So this is what I started with. I think it's kind of cool to begin with. A lot of little panels and so on and so forth. Exposed motor, exposed front. The radiator is set in the back. It is what it is. But the monocolor really, I think, is what set me off on this in the first place and gave me a lot of questionable doubts. This is what I ended up with. I kind of dig it. I mean, there's not a part on this that I didn't touch. So I hope you guys dig it. I got a few videos. I got a bunch of pictures. Stick around to the end, watch it, and let me know what you guys think. Maybe I inspired you to try it. Maybe you've done one. Either way, I think in the end, I kind of dig this, and I definitely will probably do another one. Maybe not like this, but no, it is what it is. But thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one.